James ran. He sprinted towards the subway, desperately hoping it wouldn't leave before he got there. The next one wouldn't be around for another 10 minutes. Such is the case with these late-night trains. It had been a long day for him, and there was nothing James wanted more than the release of sleep right now. He made it just before the doors closed and managed to smile. A small victory amidst a lost day. He dumped his backpack on the seat beside him and took another seat himself. There were very few people on the train, some late-night businessmen and workers rushing to get back to the welcoming comfort of their own beds. James's eyelids did not agree with his brain's plan to sleep when he got home, as he nodded off as soon as the train began to move, with the steady hum and motion of the train cradling him to sleep. He woke up to an empty train. James was puzzled. Even this late at night, there were usually people getting on and off at each station in this busy city. As he scanned around, he realized that there was indeed no one left in this carriage or the others. He glanced at the map of stations that showed which stop they were approaching, indicated by a light. To his surprise, none of the lights were on. The train was speeding along even faster now, the world outside a complete darkness. Only the occasional jolt told James the train was still moving forward. He tried his cell phone, but got no signal. He remembered that he was underground and felt slightly foolish. The train was just in a really dark tunnel, with one or two unfortunate bulbs blown out. There was nothing to fret over. The familiar forward jolt signaling the train stopping began, and James stood up to wait for the doors to open. Yet they never did. He waited, but the doors remained closed. There was no one on this abnormally small station platform. At some point, the train must have resurfaced, for he could see city lights in the distance, yet he knew the last station was underground. Perhaps the train pulled away into a maintenance area, he thought, until he saw the name Vale Station imprinted in bold letters on the far wall, like they have at every other station. But Vale was not on the map. Before James could get a better look around, the train jerked again and began to move forward once more. A girl sat down in the next carriage. James didn't notice her at first, as he was engrossed in trying to figure out where he was. Even though the train was above ground now, the location system didn't seem to work. His phone still had no signal, and it was already 11 p.m. Fatigue was about to overtake him when he saw her. She was dressed in a shabby gray dress, her straight obsidian hair obscuring her face. She was looking down, as if searching for something important on the floor. James could have sworn there was no one in the carriages around him when he checked through the glass doors, but maybe his tiredness clouded his vision. Then the girl tilted her head, paused, and then straightened up to stare right at him. James had worked as a camp director in a very remote place and had felt uneasy before, but this stare truly chilled him to the bones. The stare was vacant, made even more unsettling by her abnormally large gray eyes and pale face. Her mouth was so small that James couldn't see it, or it didn't exist at all. Even though she was at the far end of the other carriage and the train was moving at breakneck speed, James felt an imminent sense of danger. He tried to shrug it off as nighttime paranoia. He shouldn't have. The train was pulling into another stop after what seemed like an eternity. James made the mistake of looking outside, and there she was. Standing on the platform, beneath the big letters spelling Vale Station, was the girl in the shabby dress. He tried to avoid eye contact, but noticed through his peripheral vision that she was still staring right at him. He quickly turned around as the train started moving again, and there she was, sitting just a few feet away in his carriage, still staring at him. The train began to speed up again. It was simply impossible. She couldn't have moved so fast. The doors never opened. She looked up and stared at him blankly. "What the fuck do you want?" James's voice was smaller than he'd anticipated. She stared. Then she stood up, and James almost fell. Where her mouth should have been, there was nothing. It was just smooth, pale skin. Her face twisted into what would be a smile if she had a mouth, and James watched in fear as she strode towards him. She must have been in some sort of accident. Maybe she just wants help, James thought, trying to comfort himself as he backed away slightly. It's just a dream, he thought. She doesn't want to hurt me. We don't even know each other. She must. The train rode silently on. James woke with a start. He looked around, puzzled as to why there was no one else left on the train. He felt the train begin to slow down and stood up to wait for the doors to open. They never did.